When I speak of God, I am not referring to some external deity sitting on a throne beyond the clouds. No, the God of whom I speak is not separate from you. The great secret, too wonderful for most to accept, is that God is your own wonderful human imagination. The I am within you is God. I am is the name of God for all eternity, and there is no other God. Tonight I stand before you to remind you that all your pain, all your sorrows, all your unfulfilled desires are seen and known by the divine presence that dwells within you. And when I say, leave it in God's hand, I am inviting you to a surrender of the most beautiful kind, not a resignation to circumstances, but a conscious transfer of your burdens to your own wonderful human imagination, which is God in action. Let me begin with a principle that forms the foundation of this understanding. Consciousness is the one and only reality. Everything you perceive, everything you experience exists because consciousness is. Your world is a manifestation of your consciousness externalized. The pain you feel, the circumstances you desire to change, the dreams yet unfulfilled, all exist within consciousness before they appear in what we call the outer world. When you cry out in pain, when you feel the weight of your burdens becoming too heavy to bear, you are not crying out to some distant deity. You are stirring the depths of your own divine consciousness. And here is the wonder of it all. God hears because God is your own consciousness. The hearing and the answering are one. I recall a lady who attended my lectures in New York some years ago. She had suffered from a debilitating condition for over 15 years. Doctors had tried everything, and nothing seemed to bring relief. One evening, after hearing me speak on this very principle, that God is your own wonderful human imagination, she went home determined to put it to the test. That night, as she lay in bed, instead of focusing on her pain, as she had done for 15 years, she began to imagine hearing her doctor say, "I can't believe it. There's no trace of your condition. You are completely healed." She felt the relief, the joy, the gratitude that would accompany such news. She didn't just visualize it, she felt the reality of it with all the emotion such a miracle would evoke. She did this for 3 consecutive nights, and then, and this is crucial, she left it in God's hands. She didn't constantly check for improvement. She didn't question when or how it would happen. She planted the seed in the fertile soil of divine imagination and allowed it to grow in its own time and in its own way. 3 weeks later, during a routine checkup, her doctor was astonished to find significant improvement. Within 2 months, the condition that had plagued her for 15 years was completely gone. The medical community called it unexplainable, but she knew the truth. God had heard her cry. The divine imagination within her had answered. Now some of you might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried to imagine better circumstances. I've tried to believe. And still my situation persists. To this, I must tell you what I have discovered through years of testing this law. The secret lies not in the mere visualization, but in the feeling, the conviction, the assumption that what you desire is already yours. Feeling is the secret. When you leave something in God's hands, you are not asking for something to be done. You are acknowledging it is done. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and live from that state, the outside world must reshape itself to match your inner assumption. Let me clarify this principle with a simple illustration. If you were to receive wonderful news right now, news that completely resolved your most pressing problem, how would you feel? Would there not be a sensation of relief? A feeling of gratitude? Perhaps even tears of joy? That feeling state is your prayer. That feeling state is you communing with God, which is your own wonderful human imagination. Remember the words from Scripture: before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This is not the promise of some external God who might or might not respond to your pleas. This is the absolute law of your own being. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is done. It is finished in the realm of divine imagination, and it must objectify itself in your world. I want to share with you another experience, this one my own. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation where financial lack seemed overwhelming. Bills were mounting, opportunities were scarce, and the future looked bleak. One night, in the quiet of my room, I decided to apply the principle I'm sharing with you tonight. Instead of focusing on the lack, instead of mentally rehearsing all the things I couldn't afford, I closed my eyes and began to imagine myself in a state of complete financial abundance. I felt the relief of having more than enough. I experienced the joy of being able to give generously. I savored the peace that comes with complete financial security. But here was the crucial step. I didn't do this with the attitude of trying to make it happen. I did it with the knowledge that in the realm of divine imagination, which is the only reality, it was already done. I was not creating a new state. I was simply occupying a state that eternally exists. I was selecting a particular pattern of consciousness to inhabit. Within a week, an unexpected opportunity presented itself that resolved my financial situation completely. It came from a direction I could never have anticipated, through means I could never have orchestrated, through my own conscious planning. The outer circumstances reshaped themselves to conform to my inner assumption. This, my dear friends, is what it means to leave it in God's hands. It means to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to live from the end as though what you desire is already a present fact, and then to let the wisdom of divine imagination, which far exceeds your conscious reasoning, bring it to pass in ways you could never devise. Now, there is another aspect of leaving it in God's hands that is equally important. When you truly understand that your own wonderful human imagination is God, you realize that time is merely a concept within consciousness. What we call waiting for our desire to manifest is simply our movement through states of consciousness until we arrive at the state where our desire is experienced as reality. From God's perspective, which is your true perspective, when you are consciously exercising your divine imagination, there is no waiting. There is only the eternal now, in which all possible states exist simultaneously. When you genuinely leave something in God's hands, you are acknowledging this truth. You are surrendering the human concept of time and embracing the divine reality of the eternal now. A man once came to me in great distress. His son had been diagnosed with a condition the doctors considered untreatable. Night after night, this father had prayed to a God he imagined was separate from himself. He had begged, he had bargained, he had promised all manner of things if only his son would be healed. And yet the condition persisted. After hearing me speak, he approached me privately and asked if what I taught could help his son. I told him what I'm telling you now, that God sees his pain and hears his cry, because God is his own wonderful human imagination. I explained that instead of begging an external deity, he needed to assume the state of consciousness in which his son was already well. That night, this father did something he had never done before. Instead of praying for his son to be healed, he imagined hearing his son's doctor say, "This is remarkable. There's no medical explanation for it, but your son is completely well." He felt the immense relief and gratitude such news would bring. He embraced his imaginary son, feeling his healthy, strong body. And then he left it in God's hands. He didn't constantly check for signs of improvement. He didn't question the how or the when. He simply lived from the assumption that the healing was already complete. 3 days later, his son began to show significant improvement. Within 2 weeks, tests confirmed what this father already knew in the depth of his being. His son was completely healed. The medical staff called it spontaneous remission. But he understood the truth of what had happened. He had aligned himself with a state of consciousness in which his son was well, and the outer world had reshaped itself accordingly. This brings me to another crucial aspect of leaving it in God's hands, the concept of divine timing. When you truly surrender your desire to your divine imagination, you are also surrendering your concept of when and how it should manifest. In the realm of divine imagination, everything unfolds in its perfect sequence, in its purpose pattern. In the Bible we read, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." This is not some arbitrary divine scheduling, but the perfect unfoldment of states of consciousness. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust the intelligence inherent in the seed, the soil, the sun, and the rain to bring forth the plant in its perfect timing. So it is with the seeds you plant in the fertile soil of your divine imagination. When you truly leave something in God's hands, you are trusting the perfect timing, the perfect wisdom of your own wonderful human imagination to bring forth your desire in a way that is perfectly tailored to your highest good. I want to share with you a profound truth that has transformed countless lives, including my own. God's timing is perfect because God's timing is the natural unfoldment of states of consciousness. What appears as delay from the human perspective is often divine precision from the perspective of your imagination, which sees the entire pattern of your life. A young woman once attended my lectures in Los Angeles. She had been visualizing a particular job for months, yet it hadn't materialized. After hearing me speak on divine timing, she realized she had been trying to force her manifestation according to her schedule, rather than truly leaving it in God's hands. That night, she did something different. Instead of visualizing getting the specific job she had been focusing on, she imagined the feeling of career fulfillment. She felt the satisfaction of work that utilized her skills and brought her joy. She felt the comfort of financial security. She felt the pride of making a meaningful contribution. And then she truly surrendered the how and the when. 2 weeks later, she was offered a position she hadn't even known existed, one far better suited to her talents and desires than the job she had been visualizing. Had her original desire manifested according to her timing, she would have missed this perfect opportunity. This is the wisdom of leaving it in God's hands. Your conscious mind, magnificent as it is, can only perceive a fraction of the possibilities available to you. But your divine imagination, God within you, sees the entirety of existence. When you truly surrender to this greater wisdom, you open yourself to possibilities far exceeding what your limited consciousness could conceive. Now, I want to address something that many of you may be feeling. There are times when the pain seems too great, the burden too heavy, the night too dark. In such moments, the idea of imagining a better state can seem impossible. How can you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled when your present pain is so intense? To this, I offer you one of the most transformative truths I have ever discovered. Even in your darkest hour, you possess the divine power of imagination. Even when you cannot change your outer circumstances, you can change your inner state. And when you change your inner state, the outer must follow, for it is only a shadow, a reflection of your consciousness. I am reminded of a man who attended my lectures years ago. He had been imprisoned unjustly, facing a sentence of 20 years for a crime he did not commit. In the confines of his cell, with no apparent hope for release, he began to apply the principle I'm sharing with you tonight. Each night, as he lay on his prison cot, he would close his eyes and imagine himself walking freely under the open sky. He felt the sunshine on his face. He heard birds singing. He felt the texture of grass beneath his feet. He didn't just visualize these things, he felt them with all the intensity his imagination could muster. He did not pray for release. He assumed the state of being already free. And even though his physical body remained in that cell, his consciousness, which is the only reality, was free. He lived from that state of freedom with complete conviction. Within 3 months, evidence emerged that proved his innocence beyond any doubt. Within 6 months, he walked out of that prison a free man. The outer circumstances rearranged themselves to conform to his inner state of consciousness. This illustrates a principle I want to impress upon you tonight. The outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner assumptions. When you truly leave something in God's hands, which means to assume it is already done in your imagination, the entire universe conspires to make it so. There is a passage in Scripture that illuminates this truth. Be still and know that I am God. The stillness referenced here is not physical stillness, though that can be helpful. It is the stillness of mind that comes when you cease struggling, when you cease trying to make things happen, when you truly surrender to the wisdom and power of your own wonderful human imagination. When you are still in this way, you create a vacuum that divine wisdom rushes in to fill. Solutions appear that your conscious mind could never have devised. Paths open that were previously invisible to you. The very circumstances that seem to block your way become the stepping stones to your desire's fulfillment. I want to share with you a personal experience that demonstrates this principle of divine timing and perfect unfoldment. Many years ago, I had a deep desire to share these teachings with a wider audience. I imagined myself speaking to packed auditoriums, sharing the truth of the divine imagination with thousands of eager listeners. For a time, nothing seemed to happen. The small gatherings I was addressing remained small. The wider audience I envisioned seemed as distant as ever. But instead of becoming discouraged, I deepened my conviction. I lived more fully from the state of being a teacher to multitudes. I felt the gratitude of having already impacted countless men. I experienced the satisfaction of having already fulfilled my purpose. And then I truly left it in God's hands. I surrendered the how and the when. I released the need for my desire to manifest in a particular way or on a particular schedule. I simply lived from the state of its fulfillment. Within a year, a series of events occurred that no human planning could have orchestrated. An opportunity to speak at a major venue led to my introduction to someone who offered to publish my lectures. This led to radio appearances, which led to invitations to speak across the country. The very desire I had imagined in the silence of my room was now externalized in my physical experience. Had I insisted on my desire manifesting according to my limited conception, I might have missed the perfect pattern that divine imagination had prepared. By truly leaving it in God's hands, I allowed a manifestation far more wonderful than what my conscious mind could have devised. This brings me to another crucial aspect of leaving it in God's hands, the release of anxiety and worry. When you truly understand that your own wonderful human imagination is God, and that this God sees your pain, hears your cry, anxiety becomes unnecessary. Worry becomes redundant. Think about it this way. If you knew with absolute certainty that your desire was already fulfilled in the realm of divine imagination, which is the only reality, and that its externalization in your physical experience was simply a matter of divine timing, what would there be to worry about? What would there be to fear? The scripture tells us perfect love casts out fear. When you truly love the reality or divine imagination, when you trust it completely, fear cannot exist in your consciousness. And when fear is absent, the perfect pattern of your desire's fulfillment can manifest without distortion. A woman once approached me after a lecture, sharing that she had been consumed with anxiety about her financial future. Despite having applied the principles I teach, she found herself constantly checking her bank account, constantly calculating how long her resources would last, constantly worrying about what would happen if her desired financial abundance didn't materialize in time. I explained to her that this anxiety was actually interfering with the manifestation of her desire. By constantly focusing on lack, by constantly reinforcing the reality of not having enough, she was contradicting the very state she was trying to embody in her imagination. That night she made a decision to truly leave her financial situation in God's hands. Instead of checking her bank account multiple times a day, she disciplined herself to check it only once a week. Instead of constantly calculating how long her resources would last, she focused on the feeling of abundant resources already being hers. Instead of worrying about what would happen if her desire didn't manifest in time, she lived from the conviction that divine timing is always perfect. Within 2 weeks, an unexpected check arrived in the mail, a refund from an old investment she had written off years before. The amount was exactly what she needed to bridge the gap until a wonderful new income opportunity presented itself the following month. The anxiety that had been blocking her manifestation was dissolved by her decision to truly leave it in God's hands. And when that block was removed, the outer circumstances reshaped themselves to conform to her inner conviction. Now there is a subtlety to this principle that I want to make very clear. Leaving it in God's hands does not mean abdicating responsibility for your actions. It does not mean sitting passively, waiting for your desire to drop into your lap with no effort on your part. When you truly leave something in God's hands, which again means to surrender it to your own wonderful human imagination, you will be guided from within to take the perfect actions that facilitate the manifestation of your desire. These actions will not feel like struggle. They will feel natural, intuitive, even effortless, because they will be in perfect alignment with the state of consciousness you have assumed. A man once shared with me his desire to build a successful business. He had been struggling for years, pushing, striving, working 18-hour days, yet his business remained small and unstable. After hearing me speak on the principle of leaving it in God's hands, he realized he had been approaching his desire from a state of lack and struggle. That night he began to imagine himself already at the helm of a thriving enterprise. He felt the satisfaction of running a business that served many people while providing him with abundant income. He experienced the peace of mind that comes with stable success. And then he truly surrendered the how and the when to his divine imagination. The next morning, for the first time in years, he didn't feel the need to rush to his office before dawn. Instead, he took a leisurely walk in a nearby park, something he hadn't done in as long as he could remember. During that walk, he had an insight about his business model that he had never considered before. The insight was so simple, yet so profound, that he knew instantly it would transform his enterprise. That same day, he implemented this new approach. Within 6 months, his business had tripled in size, while his working hours had been cut in half. The actions he took were not the result of anxious striving, but of inspired guidance that came naturally once he had assumed the state of his wish fulfilled. This is the true meaning of leaving it in God's hands. It is not passive waiting. It is active surrender to the wisdom of your divine imagination, which will guide you perfectly from within. I want to emphasize another aspect of leaving it in God's hands that is often misunderstood, the role of persistence. There is a seeming paradox here that confuses many. On one hand, I'm telling you to assume the state of your wish fulfilled and then release it. On the other hand, there is a need for persistence in maintaining that assumption. The resolution of this paradox lies in understanding the difference between anxious repetition and faithful consistency. When you truly leave something in God's hands, you are not repeatedly asking for it to be done. You are consistently living from the assumption that it is already done. Think of it this way. If you were to move from New York to Los Angeles, you wouldn't wake up each morning questioning whether you now live in Los Angeles. You wouldn't repeatedly affirm, I live in Los Angeles now, with the underlying doubt that perhaps you don't. you would simply live from the established fact of your new residence. So it is with the state you have assumed in your divine imagination. The persistence required is not in repeatedly visualizing your desire as though begging for it to come true. The persistence is in consistently living from the assumption that what you have imagined is already reality. A woman once shared with me her desire to restore a relationship that had been broken for many years. After hearing me speak on this principle, she began to imagine conversations with this person characterized by mutual understanding and love. She felt the joy of reconciliation. She experienced the peace of restored harmony. And then she truly left it in God's hands. She didn't repeatedly visualize these scenes out of anxiety that they might not materialize. She didn't check for signs that the reconciliation was on its way. She simply lived from the quiet conviction that in the realm of divine imagination, which is the only reality, and the reconciliation was already complete. 3 weeks passed with no apparent change in the external situation. Then one morning she received a message from the very person she had been imagining reconciling with. The message expressed exactly the sentiments she had been feeling in her imaginal scenes. Within a month, the relationship was restored in a way more beautiful than she could have consciously planned. Her persistence was not in anxious repetition, but in faithful consistency to the state she had assumed. This is the true meaning of leaving it in God's hands. Now, I want to address something that many of you may have experienced. There are times when, despite your best efforts to imagine lovingly, the outer circumstances seem to worsen before they improve. In such moments, it can be tempting to abandon your imaginal work, to conclude that it isn't working or that perhaps there are forces opposed to your good. But I want to assure you of this truth. When the outer appears to contradict your inner assumption, it is not a sign of failure. It is simply the rearrangement of circumstances necessary for the manifestation of your desire. It is the breaking down of old patterns to make way for the new. In the Bible, we read of Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers, then being falsely accused and imprisoned in Egypt. From the outside, it appeared that his life was moving in the opposite direction of his divine destiny. Yet these very circumstances were the stepping stones that led to his eventual elevation to a position of great authority, where he saved countlessly, including those of his own family. So it is with the manifestation of your desires. What appears as setback from the limited perspective of your outer senses is often progress from the eternal perspective of your divine imagination. When you truly leave something in God's hands, you trust this process completely. You remain faithful to your assumption regardless of appearances. A man once shared with me his desire to move his family from a cramped apartment to a beautiful home with a garden for his children to play in. After hearing me speak on the principle of imagination as God, he began to imagine himself waking up each morning in the spacious bedroom of his dream home. He felt the joy of watching his children play freely in their own garden. He experienced the pride of welcoming friends and family to a home that perfectly expressed his love for beauty and comfort. And then he truly left it in God's hands. He didn't anxiously scan real estate listings. He didn't worry about how such a home could be afforded on his modest income. He simply lived from the state of already having this home. 2 weeks later, he was informed that the building where he had his apartment was being sold, and all tenants would need to relocate within 60 days. From the outside, this appeared to be a terrible setback, but he remained faithful to his assumption. 3 weeks after receiving this seemingly negative news, a distant relative whom he hadn't spoken to in years contacted him. This relative was moving overseas and needed someone trustworthy to care for his beautiful home, a home that perfectly matched what this man had been imagining. The arrangement offered was so generous that within the 60-day period, he and his family had moved into the very type of home he had been assuming was already his. What had appeared as a setback was actually the precise sequence of events necessary for the manifestation of his desire. Had he abandoned his assumption when the outer circumstances seemed to contradict it, he would have missed the perfect fulfillment that divine imagination had prepared. This brings me to one of the most crucial aspects of leaving it in God's hands: the complete acceptance of your divine nature. When you truly understand that your own wonderful human imagination is God, you realize that there is no limit to what you can create, no restriction to what you can experience, no boundary to what you can become. The only limitations you experience are those you have accepted in consciousness. The only restrictions in your life are those you have impressed upon your divine imagination. The only boundaries to your fulfillment are those you have fashioned from your beliefs about yourself and about the nature of reality. When you leave something in God's hands, which means to surrender it to your own wonderful human imagination, you are acknowledging your true identity as a divine being temporarily experiencing human form. You are reclaiming your birthright as a creator made in the image of God, which means made with the same creative power of imagination. I am reminded of a woman who had struggled with chronic illness for many years. After hearing me speak on the divine nature of human imagination, she began to question the belief system she had built around her condition. She realized that she had accepted limitation as her reality, that she had defined herself by her illness rather than by her divine nature. That night, she made a decision to reclaim her true identity. Instead of seeing herself as a woman struggling with illness, she began to imagine herself as the embodiment of vibrant health. She felt the energy coursing through her body. She experienced the joy of engaging in activities that had been impossible in her illness. She savored the freedom of a body that functioned perfectly. And then she truly left it in God's hands. She didn't constantly monitor her symptoms. She didn't anxiously look for signs of improvement. She simply lived from the quiet conviction that her true nature was divine perfection, and that this perfection was now expressing itself through a physical form. Within a month, her doctors were astonished by the improvements in her condition. Within 3 months, the very symptoms that had defined her existence for years had completely disappeared. Her physical body had reshaped itself to conform to her inner conviction of her divine nature. This is the ultimate meaning of leaving it in God's hands. It is the acknowledgement that you are not a limited human being hoping to be helped by some external power. You are a divine being temporarily experiencing human form, and the power to transform every aspect of your experience lies within your own wonderful human imagination. My dear, wonderful friends, as we draw to a close this evening, I want to impress upon you once more this transformative truth. God sees your pain and hears your cry, because God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you leave something in God's hands, you are surrendering it to the divine creative power within you, which exceeds your conscious reasoning and sees the perfect pattern of your life's unfoldment. The circumstances that now pain you, the conditions you long to change, the desires yet unfulfilled, all exist as states of consciousness. By assuming the state of your wish fulfilled, by living from the end as though what you desire is already an accomplished fact, you set in motion the divine process of manifestation that must objectify itself in your world. Do not be discouraged by appearances. Do not be swayed by the evidence of your senses. Do not abandon your assumption when the outer seems to contradict it. Remain faithful to the state you have chosen, and in divine perfect timing your outer will reshape itself to match your inner conviction. Remember always, all things whatsoever ye pray and ask for, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. This is not a promise of some future fulfillment. It is the declaration of an eternal principle. The moment you truly believe you have received your desire, the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is yours. Leave it in God's hands by surrendering it to your own wonderful human imagination, and then watching all as the entire universe conspires to bring it to pass. For this is the true meaning of the divine promise. Behold, I make all things new. Thank you, and good night. This will find you when you need it most. Ponder these words, for they contain within them the very essence of your being, the key to unlocking the infinite potential that resides within you. You see, everything in your world, every circumstance, every encounter, every fleeting thought is but a reflection of your own consciousness. And it is this consciousness, this awareness of being, that is the true source of all that you experience. Let us delve deeper into this profound truth. You, my dear listener, are not merely a physical body moving through space and time. You are in essence pure consciousness, the very fabric of reality itself. And it is through this consciousness that you shape and mold your entire world. Every desire, every fear, every belief you hold dear becomes the blueprint for your life's experiences. Now you may ask, but Neville, how can this be? How can my thoughts and feelings create my reality? And to this I say, open your mind to the greatest secret of all, the law of assumption. This law, as immutable as gravity itself, states that whatever state you assume to be true must be made manifest in your world. It is not hope, not mere positive thinking, but a deep, unshakable knowing that brings your desires into being. Consider for a moment the times in your life when you've needed something most. Perhaps it was guidance, perhaps it was comfort, or perhaps it was a sudden flash of inspiration. Did you not find in those moments of greatest need that the very thing you required seemed to appear as if by magic? This, my friends, is no coincidence. It is the law of assumption at work, bringing to you exactly what you need, precisely when you need it most. But let us not mistake this for some external force, some capricious universe doling out favors. No, the power lies entirely within you. You are the operant power, the God of your universe, shaping reality through the power of your imagination. When you fully grasp this truth, when you internalize it to the very core of your being, you will understand that nothing is impossible to you. Imagine, if you will, a world where every desire of your heart is fulfilled, where every dream you've ever dared to dream becomes your living reality. This world, my friends, is not some far-off utopia. It is the very world you inhabit right now, waiting to be molded by the power of your assumption. For when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as though your desire were already a fact, you set in motion forces beyond your comprehension, aligning the entire universe to bring about your desired state. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I've tried positive thinking before. I've visualized, I've affirmed, and still my desires elude me. To this I say, you have not yet fully embraced the law of assumption. For it is not enough to merely think positively or to visualize half-heartedly. You must feel it, live it, breathe it. You must assume the state of your wish fulfilled with such conviction that to experience anything else becomes an impossibility. Let me share with you a technique, a method so simple yet so profound that it has the power to revolutionize your entire existence. It is the technique of living from the end. In the quiet of your mind, in that still space between sleeping and waking, create a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. See it, feel it, taste it, touch it. Make it so real, so vivid that for a moment you phosphorescent your present circumstances entirely, and in that moment of forgetting you plant the seed of your new reality. But remember, my dear friends, this is not a one-time exercise. It is a way of life, a constant state of being. You must persist in your assumption, even when the outside world seems to contradict it. For the outside world is but a shadow, a reflection of past assumptions. Your true power lies in the present moment, in your ability to choose, right now, the state you wish to occupy. Consider the biblical phrase, before they call, I will answer. This is not the proclamation of some external deity, but a profound statement about the nature of consciousness itself. Your desires, your needs are already fulfilled in the realm of infinite possibility. It is your task, through the power of assumption, to bring them into your three-dimensional reality. Now you may wonder, how long must I persist? When will I see the fruits of my assumption? And to this I say, the time it takes for your assumption to become your physical reality is directly proportional to the naturalness of your assumption. When your desired state feels as natural to you as breathing, when you can no longer conceive of any other reality, then will it manifest with a speed that will astonish you. But do not be discouraged if at first you stumble, if doubt creeps in, if the old man reasserts itself. This is natural, for you are engaging in a radical transformation of consciousness. You are literally rebirthing yourself, shedding old limitations and embracing your divine nature. Persistence is key. Each time you catch yourself stepping into old patterns of thought, gently but firmly redirect your attention to the state of your wish fulfilled. Remember, my friends, that your imagination is not bound by the so-called facts of your current reality. Your imagination transcends time and space, operating in a realm where all things are possible. When you imagine lovingly on behalf of another, when you see them as they wish to be seen, you are performing the highest act of creation. For in truth, there is no other. All is you pushed out. All is a reflection of your own magnificent consciousness. Let us now turn our attention to the concept of time, for it plays a crucial role in understanding how this message finds you when you need it most. Time, as you experience it in your day-to-day life, is but an illusion, a construct of the human mind. In the realm of pure consciousness, all moments exist simultaneously. The past, present, and future are one eternal now. This understanding is crucial, for it means that the moment of your greatest need and the moment of its fulfillment are one and the same. When you fully grasp this truth, you will see that there is no waiting, no striving, no desperate seeking. There is only the calm assurance that all is well, all is as it should be, all is unfolding in divine perfection. Consider the times in your life when a book has fallen open to exactly the page you needed to read, or when a chance encounter provided the very guidance you were seeking. These are not random occurrences, but perfect demonstrations of the law of assumption at work. You drew these experiences to you through your state of consciousness, through your awareness of need, and your openness to receive. Now, let us delve deeper into the mechanics of manifestation, for understanding this process will empower you to consciously create the life you desire. Every experience in your life, every person you encounter, every circumstance you find yourself in is a reflection of your dominant state of consciousness. Your world is quite literally molded by your beliefs, expectations, and assumptions. This is why two people can experience the same external event in radically different ways. One sees opportunity where another sees obstacle. One finds joy where another finds despair. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the consciousness through which it is perceived. Understanding this, you begin to see the immense power you hold. No longer are you a victim of circumstance, buffeted about by forces beyond your control. You are the author of your life story, the director of your grand play. And with this power comes great responsibility, the responsibility to consciously choose the states you occupy, to carefully curate the assumptions you hold. But how, you may ask, does one go about changing deeply ingrained patterns of thought and belief? The answer lies in the art of revision. Each night, before you sleep, review the events of your day. But do not simply replay them as they occurred. Instead, revise them. See them unfolding as you would have wished them to unfold. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the sense of fulfillment that comes with this revised version of events. This practice serves two purposes. First, it trains your mind to focus on the desired state rather than the current reality. Second, and more profoundly, it actually rewrites your past. For remember, time is an illusion. The past exists only in your memory, and your memory can be altered through the power of imagination. As you consistently practice revision, you will find that your entire perception of life begins to shift. You will naturally gravitate towards more positive states of being, attracting experiences that align with your revised assumptions. This is how you actively participate in the creation of your reality, how you ensure that what you need most always finds you at the perfect moment. Now, let us address a question that often arises when discussing these concepts. What about other people? Can I use the law of assumption to change their behavior or circumstances? The answer, my friends, is both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that all is you pushed out. All is a reflection of your consciousness. And no, in the sense that attempting to manipulate others for personal gain is a misuse of this divine law. Instead, I urge you to see others through the eyes of love, to imagine lovingly on their behalf. See them as they wish to be seen, as their highest, most actualized selves. In doing so, you not only elevate them, but you elevate yourself. For remember, there is no other. In blessing others, you bless yourself. In seeing the divine in others, you recognize the divine within you. This brings us to another crucial point, the importance of self-love and self-acceptance. Many of you struggle with feelings of unworthiness, with the belief that you are somehow not deserving of your heart's desires. But I say to you with all the conviction of my being that you are worthy beyond measure. You are a divine being, a perfect expression of the infinite Creator, worthy of all the love, abundance, and joy that life has to offer. If you find yourself struggling with self-love, begin by assuming the state of one who is deeply loved and cherished. Feel it, live it, breathe it. As you persist in this assumption, you will find your entire world transforming to reflect this new self-concept. For the outside world can only ever show you what you hold to be true about yourself. Now let us turn our attention to the concept of detachment, for it is crucial in understanding how to navigate the path of manifestation. Many of you, in your eagerness to see your desires fulfilled, cling tightly to the outcome, anxiously awaiting signs of its manifestation. But this very anxiety, this attachment to results, creates resistance that slows the process of manifestation. True mastery lies in detachment, in the ability to plant the seed of your desire and then let it grow naturally, without constantly digging it up to check its progress. This detachment comes from a place of deep trust, trust in the law, trust in the process, and most importantly, trust in yourself as the operant power in your universe. When you truly understand that your desire is already fulfilled in the realm of infinite possibility, that it is making this you through the bridge of incidents, if you can relax into a state of calm expectancy. You need not worry about the how or the when. Your only task is to maintain the assumption of your wish fulfilled, to live each day from the state of the person who already has what they desire. This state of relaxed expectancy, of knowing without anxious striving, is the fertile soil in which your desires take root and flourish. It is in this state that you become most receptive to inspiration, to divine guidance, to those seemingly miraculous coincidences that lead you effortlessly towards the fulfillment of your desires. Remember, my dear friends, that the universe is infinitely abundant. There is no lack, no limitation, except that which you impose upon yourself through your beliefs and assumptions. When you truly internalize this truth, where you live from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, you open yourself to receive blessings beyond your wildest dreams. This abundance mindset extends far beyond material possessions It encompasses love, joy, peace, creativity, all the qualities that make life rich and fulfilling. As you assume the state of one who is abundantly blessed in all areas of life, you will find that opportunities and resources flow to you effortlessly, often in ways you could never have anticipated. Now let us address a common misconception. The idea that assuming your desire fulfilled means sitting back passively and waiting for it to appear. Nothing could be further from the truth. The law of assumption is not about inaction, but inspired action. When you truly assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you naturally begin to think, feel, and act in alignment with that state. You may find yourself suddenly inspired to take a certain course of action, to reach out to a particular project, to explore a new opportunity. These inspired actions flow naturally from your assumed state, guiding you effortlessly towards the manifestation of your desire. The key is to remain open and receptive, to trust your intuition, and to act on these divine impulses when they arise. Remember, every desire that arises within you carries within it the seed of its own fulfillment. The very fact that you can conceive of a desire means that you have the capacity to bring it into manifestation. Your task is not to make it happen through force of will, but to align your consciousness with the fulfillment of that desire, to become in imagination the person who already has what you seek. As you go about your daily life, practicing the law of assumption, you will begin to notice a profound shift in your perception of reality. The world around you will seem more vibrant, more alive with possibility. Synchronicities will abound, doors will open where before there were only walls. This is the natural result of aligning your consciousness with the infinite creative power of the universe. But remember, my friends, that this journey of conscious creation is not about accumulating possessions or achieving worldly success. While these things may come as a natural byproduct of your expanded consciousness, the true goal is the realization of your divine nature, the full expression of your infinite potential. As you master the art of living from the end, of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will find that your desires themselves begin to evolve. No longer will you be driven by lack or fear, but by a deep desire to express your unique gifts, to contribute to the world in meaningful ways, to experience the fullness of life in all its magnificent variety. This evolution of desire is a natural part of your spiritual growth. As you align more fully with your true nature, as you embrace your role as a conscious creator, you will find yourself drawn to experiences and pursuits that bring you into greater harmony with the divine flow of life. Now let us address a question that often arises as one begins to consciously apply the law of assumption. What about setbacks and challenges? How do I maintain my assumption in the face of apparent failure or disappointment? This, my friends, is where your faith is truly tested, where the rubber meets the road in your journey of conscious creation. Remember that what appears to be a setback or failure is often a necessary part of the bridge of incidents leading to the fulfillment of your desire. The universe always moves in the most efficient way possible to bring about your assumed state. What may seem like a detour or delay from your limited human perspective may in fact be the perfect unfolding of events to lead you to your desired outcome. In these moments of apparent setback, it is crucial to redouble your efforts in maintaining your assumption. Do not be swayed by appearances, for they are but shadows of past beliefs. Instead, stand firm in your conviction, knowing that your desired state is already a reality in the realm of infinite possibility, making it your three-dimensional experience. Use these moments as opportunities to strengthen your faith, to deepen your understanding of the law. For it is often in our darkest moments that our greatest breakthroughs occur, when we are forced to dig deep and find reserves of faith and resilience we never knew we possessed. Remember, too, that the law of assumption operates with mathematical precision. There is no room for doubt or uncertainty in its operation. When you assume a state, the entire universe conspires to bring it into manifestation. Your only task is to persist in that assumption, to live from that state with unwavering faith, regardless of external circumstances. As you continue on this journey of conscious creation, you will find that your entire relationship with life begins to shift. No longer will you see yourself as a small, powerless being at the mercy of external forces. Instead, you will recognize yourself as the divine creator of your reality, shaping your world through the power of your consciousness. This shift in perspective brings with it a profound sense of peace and empowerment. For when you truly understand that you are the author of your life story, that you have the power to rewrite any aspect of your experience at any moment, fear and anxiety naturally fall away. In their place arises a deep sense of trust in the perfection of life's unfolding. But with this power comes great responsibility. As you become more adept at consciously creating your reality, you must also become more mindful of the states you occupy, the assumptions you hold. For remember, the law is impartial. It will bring into manifestation whatever state you assume, whether positive or negative. This is why it is crucial to cultivate a practice of self-awareness, to become the vigilant observer of your own thoughts and feelings. Catch yourself when you slip into negative states, when you entertain doubts or fears. Gently but firmly redirect your attention to the state of your wish fulfilled. With practice, this redirection becomes second nature, a natural reflex of your awakened consciousness. As you master this art of conscious living, you will find that your life becomes a joyous adventure, a grand exploration of the infinite possibilities that exist within you. Every day becomes an opportunity to experience new aspects of your divine nature, to express more fully the unique gifts you have to offer the world. I wish to share with you a profound truth about divine compensation, a truth so transformative that it will forever change how you view every seeming loss in your life. For what appears as loss in the world of Caesar is but the setup for divine restoration multiplied. Let me tell you with absolute conviction, the universe, which is nothing more than your own wonderful human imagination externalized, is already in the process of restoring everything you thought was lost. Not merely in equal measure, but pressed down, shaken together, and running over. First, you must grasp this eternal principle. Nothing is ever truly lost in consciousness. What appears as loss in the world of manifestation is merely a temporary state. For all things exist eternally in the mind of God. And are you not told that you are made in His image? Here is the secret of divine restoration that few will ever comprehend. Every seeming loss is actually a divine setup for greater gain. When you truly understand this principle, you will begin to see every loss through the eyes of faith, knowing it is but the catalyst for multiplication. Let me share with you the exact law by which this operates. When something appears to be lost in your world, it is actually being transformed in the invisible realm of consciousness. Like a seed that must fall into the ground and die before it can multiply, your seeming losses are but seeds of multiplication. Now let me reveal to you the precise method by which the universe restores all things, a method so perfect, so divine, that it must repay you not merely what was lost, but with interest compounded by divine law. For every tear you have shed is counted, every disappointment noted, every loss recorded in the divine ledger. When you understand this principle of divine restoration, you will never again fear loss. For what appears as loss in the world of shadows is merely the universe clearing space for greater blessings. Just as a gardener must prune the branches to allow for more abundant growth, so too must certain things be removed from your life to make way for greater good. Here is the exact law. Everything that seems to be taken from you is actually being multiplied in the invisible realm. Your task is not to mourn the loss, but to maintain in consciousness the knowledge of divine restoration. For whatever you hold in consciousness must, by eternal law, externalize in your world. Now, here is something profound about divine compensation that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't merely replace what was lost, it upgrades it. That relationship that ended, it was making space for a more perfect expression of love. That opportunity that vanished, it was making way for something far greater. Throughout your day, whenever you think of something you've lost, immediately shift your consciousness to this truth. The universe is now restoring this to me multiplied, not with effort or strain, but with the easy naturalness of knowing that divine law is already in operation. When someone walks out of your life, do not see it as loss. See it instead as the universe creating space for a more perfect expression of love. For I tell you with absolute certainty, every tear you have shed over lost love is being transformed into pearls of greater joy. Every moment of loneliness is being converted into deeper connection. Here is the exact principle by which this operates when a relationship ends. It is not truly ending. It is being transformed. The love you gave, the trust you extended, the devotion you showed, none of it is lost. It is all recorded in the divine ledger, and it must by eternal law return to you multiplied. Now let me share with you something profound about relationship restoration that few will comprehend. The universe doesn't just send you another person. It sends you a more perfect expression of what you truly desire. That person who left, they were not your end. They were your training ground for greater love. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every person who has left my life has created space for someone who will love me more perfectly. For remember, in consciousness, all relationships exist in their perfect state, waiting to be claimed by your assumption. Let me reveal to you now how this same law operates in the realm of financial loss. Every dollar that has slipped through your fingers, every opportunity that has seemed to vanish, every financial setback you have experienced, all of it is being transformed in the invisible realm into greater abundance. Every opportunity you believe has passed you by, if it's too late, that echoes in your mind. The universe is already orchestrating divine compensation that will make you marvel at its perfect timing. When you understand this principle, you will see that time itself is nothing but a servant of consciousness. There is no such thing as too late in the realm of divine restoration. For what appears as lost time in the world of Caesar is being compressed and multiplied in the realm of divine compensation. Here is the exact law. Every moment you think you've lost is actually being recycled into greater opportunities. That business you didn't start 10 years ago, the universe was protecting you for a greater expression of that desire. That degree you didn't complete in your youth, divine timing was preparing you for a more perfect manifestation of that knowledge. Now, here is something profound about divine timing that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't operate on human schedules. What appears as delay in the world manifestation is actually perfect timing in the realm of divine order. Your seeming late start is actually your perfect beginning. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Divine timing is always perfect timing. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no past to regret, no future to fear. There is only the eternal now in which all things are possible. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of personal growth. Every setback you've experienced, every failure that has haunted you, every mistake that has caused you shame, all of it is being transformed into wisdom, strength, and understanding. Let me reveal to you now how this divine law operates in the transformation of your perceived failures. For every defeat you've tasted, every dream that seemed to crumble, every venture that appeared to fail, the universe is already alchemizing these experiences into golden opportunities that will astound you with their perfection. When you truly understand this principle, you will see that what you call failure is merely success in rehearsal. For in the divine economy, nothing is wasted, not a single tear, not a moment of doubt, not an ounce of effort. All is being gathered, transformed, and multiplied by divine law. Here is the exact principle. Every failure you've experienced is actually a foundation stone for greater success. That business that failed, it was teaching you invaluable lessons that will ensure your future triumph. That project that collapsed, it was strengthening muscles you didn't even know you needed. Now here's something profound about divine compensation for failure that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't just restore your losses. It uses them as raw material to build something far greater than you originally imagined. Your failures are not endpoints, they are divine setups for comebacks that will leave you in awe. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing every failure is being transformed into greater success. For in the realm of consciousness, there is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback, only learning, only growth. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your dreams and aspirations. Every dream that seemed to die, every goal that appeared out of reach, every aspiration that faded, all of it is being resurrected in more glorious form. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that no talent is ever truly wasted, no ability ever truly dormant. For in the divine economy, everything you have learned, every skill you have acquired, every natural gift you possess is being woven into the tapestry of your divine purpose. Here is the exact law. Every talent you possess, whether expressed or unexpressed, is accumulating divine interest. That artistic ability you never fully developed, it was maturing in the invisible realm. That leadership quality you thought was too late to employ, it was being refined for perfect timing. Now here is something profound about divine compensation for unused talents that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't just give you another chance to use your gifts. It creates scenarios where these talents will be expressed at their highest possible level. Your delayed gifts are not diminished. They are enhanced by the waiting. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every talent I possess is being called forth at the perfect time for its highest expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as a wasted gift. There is only perfect timing for perfect expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your spiritual unfoldment. Every insight you've gained, every truth you've glimpsed, every moment of awakening, all of it is being amplified and expanded in divine consciousness. When you comprehend this principle, you will see that emotional suffering is not merely pain to be endured, but rather the birthing process of deeper serenity. For in the divine economy, every tear becomes a pearl of wisdom. Every moment of darkness prepares you for brighter light. Here is the exact law. Every emotional wound you've carried is being transformed into emotional intelligence of the highest order. That heartbreak that seemed unbearable, it was expanding your capacity for joy. That anxiety that tormented you, it was teaching you the art of inner peace. Now, here is something profound about emotional compensation that few will ever grasp. The universe doesn't just heal your wounds, it transforms them into sources of strength that will benefit not only you but countless others. Your pain is not purposeless, it is the raw material for your emotional mastery. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every emotional challenge is being transformed into greater peace and understanding. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as wasted pain. There is only transformation, only growth, only expansion. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your relationships with others. Every misunderstanding, every betrayal, every broken connection, all of it is being rewoven into a tapestry of perfect relationships. When you understand this principle, you will see that physical challenges are not permanent sentences, but temporary states being transformed into greater strength. For in the divine economy, every physical limitation becomes the foundation for extraordinary resilience. Here is the exact law. Every physical challenge you face is actually being transformed into greater vitality. That illness that seemed to rob you of strength, it was building your immune system to levels you never imagined possible. That limitation that frustrated you, it was developing other abilities that lay dormant within. Now, here is something profound about physical compensation that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't just know health, it establishes a new baseline of vitality higher than what you knew before. Your challenges are not your destiny, they are the cocoon from which greater health emerges. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every physical challenge is being transformed into greater strength and vitality. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as permanent limitation. There is only transformation, only renewal, only regeneration. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your mental faculties. Every moment of confusion, every period of mental fog, every intellectual challenge, all of it is being transformed into greater clarity and understanding. Let me now unveil how this divine law operates in the realm of your creative expression. For every idea that was dismissed, every artistic endeavor that remained incomplete, every creative impulse that was suppressed, the universe is already preparing an outlet of expression that will far exceed your original vision. When you grasp this principle, you will understand that creative energy is never truly lost. It merely accumulates, gathering force like a river behind a dam. For in the divine economy, every unexpressed idea, every unfinished project, every unrealized vision is being amplified in the invisible realm. Here is the exact law. Every creative impulse you've ever felt is alive and growing in consciousness. That book you never wrote, it was becoming richer in your spiritual storehouse. That music you never composed, it was being orchestrated to perfection in the silence. That art you never created, it was maturing into even more magnificent forms. Now here is something profound about creative compensation that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't just return your creative energy, it returns it multiplied and refined by divine wisdom. Your delayed expressions are not diminished, they are enhanced by the waiting, enriched by your experiences, deepened by your growth. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every creative impulse I've ever felt is now finding perfect expression. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as lost inspiration. There is only perfect timing for perfect expression. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine purpose. Every calling you've ignored, every mission you've postponed, every purpose you've questioned, all of it is being woven into a tapestry of perfect fulfillment. Every moment of divine connection that felt lost, the universe is already preparing a spiritual awakening that will transcend all your previous experiences. When you understand this principle, you will see that spiritual drought is not a punishment, but a preparation. For in the divine economy, every moment of spiritual longing, every feeling of separation, every questioning of faith is being transformed into deeper wisdom and more profound connection. Here is the exact law. Every spiritual experience you've ever had, whether recognized or not, is accumulating in your consciousness. That meditation practice that seemed ineffective, it was building a foundation for profound enlightenment. Those prayers that appeared to go unheard, they were being answered in ways far beyond your current understanding. Now here is something profound about spiritual compensation that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't just restore your spiritual connection, it deepens it beyond anything you could have imagined. Your periods of spiritual dryness are not failures, they are the necessary preparation for greater spiritual heights. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every spiritual effort I've made is now bearing fruit multiplied. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as wasted devotion. There is only deepening, only expansion, only greater revelation. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine relationships. Every spiritual companion who has left your path, every teacher who seemed to disappear, every spiritual community you've lost, all of it is being transformed into more perfect spiritual connections. Now let me reveal to you how this divine law operates in the realm of your material abundance. For every financial loss you've suffered, every material possession that slipped away, every abundance that seemed to diminish, the universe is already orchestrating a restoration that will exceed your grandest expectations. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that material loss is merely the mercer's way of clearing space for greater abundance. For in the divine economy, every dollar lost, every possession released, every resource diminished is being multiplied in the invisible realm. Here is the exact law. Every material loss you've experienced is actually an investment in future abundance. That money that disappeared, it was being transformed into greater wealth. That home you had to leave, it was making way for a more perfect dwelling. That business that failed, it was setting the stage for greater success. Now here is something profound about material compensation that few will ever comprehend. The universe doesn't just replace what was lost. It returns it in a form that better serves your highest good. Your losses are not permanent. They are divine setups for supernatural comeback stories. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Every material loss is being transformed into greater abundance. For in consciousness, there is no such thing as loss. There is only transformation, only multiplication, only increase. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine opportunities. Every chance you missed, every door that closed, every opportunity that vanished, all of it is being reconstructed into greater possibilities. You will see that divine timing supersedes human timing. For in divine economy, there is no such thing as too late. There is only perfect timing, only divine orchestration, only supernatural acceleration. Here is the exact law. Every moment you think you've lost is being compressed and multiplied in divine consciousness. That opportunity you think passed you by, it was merely preparing you for something greater. That timing you thought you missed, it was protecting you for perfect manifestation. Now, here is something profound about divine timing that most will never grasp. The universe doesn't operate on your calendar. It operates on divine synchronicity. What appears as delay in human time is actually perfect alignment in divine time. Your missed timing is actually divine protection. Throughout your consciousness, maintain this knowing. Divine timing is always working in my favor. For in consciousness, there is no past to regret, no future to fear. There is only the eternal now, where all possibilities exist. Let me share with you now how this same principle operates in the realm of your divine connections. Every relationship that ended prematurely, every partnership that dissolved, every connection that seemed interrupted, all of it is being rewoven into more perfect unions. Now let me bring all these eternal principles to their ultimate culmination. For what I have shared with you tonight is not merely theory, it is the very science of divine compensation, the absolute law of spiritual restoration. Remember this fundamental truth. The universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination pushed out, must restore all things in divine order. Not by human calculation, but by divine multiplication. Not by mortal timing, but by immortal orchestration. Here is your final instruction. Take all that I have revealed to you tonight and live in the absolute assurance that every loss, every setback, every disappointment is already being transformed into something far greater than you could have imagined. For this is not mere positive thinking. This is divine law. I tell you with complete authority, if you will maintain this consciousness of divine mysticism, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this truth. Every tear will be transformed into triumph, every loss into gain, every ending into a more glorious beginning. Go forth now in the absolute knowing that the universe is already repaying you for everything you thought was lost. Not in equal measure, but pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For this is the promise of divine compensation, and the promise is sure. Remember, you are not calling forth something that does not exist. You are simply awakening to what eternally is. Everything you have ever lost still exists in divine substance, multiplying, expanding, growing, waiting for your consciousness to align with its perfect restoration. Let this be your conviction as you leave here tonight. The universe owes you, and it always pays its debts with interest. Every loss has been recorded, every tear has been counted, every disappointment has been noted. And now by divine law, everything is being restored, multiplied. For this is the eternal promise, and it cannot fail. What appears as loss in the world of Caesar is but the setup for divine restoration beyond measure. The end has been reached, for you now possess the key to all restoration, your consciousness of divine compensation. Use it faithfully, use it consistently, and watch every loss transform into gain multiplied. Let us begin with a fundamental truth from Scripture. In John 1:1 we read, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now most people interpret this passage literally, thinking it refers to spoken words. But I tell you this, the word spoken of here is not mere language. It is vibration, it is feeling. It is the very sensation of your desire fulfilled. You see, my dear friends, when you truly understand this principle, you realize that imagination and vibration are one and the same. They are not two separate things. They are the same force expressing itself through different aspects of your consciousness. This is why the Bible tells us by faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the Word of God. This vibration is your own wonderful human imagination in action. Let me share with you a profound secret about vibration and imagination. When you imagine something, you are not merely creating mental pictures. You are generating a specific frequency, a particular vibration that corresponds to your desire fulfilled. This is why feeling is the secret, for feeling is the language of vibration. Consider the story of Moses and the burning bush. When God revealed himself to Moses, he did not appear as words on a page or as mere thoughts in Moses' mind. He appeared as energy, as vibration, as living flame that did not consume. This, my dear friends, is a perfect metaphor for how your imagination works through vibration. You see, when you imagine your desire fulfilled, you are literally setting yourself aflame with the vibration of that state. But like the burning bush, this flame does not consume you, it transforms you. It transmutes your entire being into the frequency of your desire fulfilled. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this principle. Recently, a lady came to me desiring a new home. She had been using affirmations and positive words for months without success. I told her, stop using words. Instead, feel the vibration of actually living in your desired home. Feel the texture of the walls, the warmth of the sunlight through the windows, the peace and satisfaction of occupying that space. Within 2 weeks, she had her new home. You see, she didn't manifest it through words. She manifested it through vibration, through the feeling of actually being there. This is what Jesus meant when he said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Now let us delve deeper into this mystery of vibration and imagination. In the book of Ezekiel, we read about the valley of dry bones. When God commanded Ezekiel to prophesy to the bones, it wasn't the words that brought them to life. It was the vibration, the energy, the feeling tone of life itself that animated them. This is exactly how your imagination works. When you imagine your desire fulfilled, you are not merely thinking about it. You are vibrating at the frequency of its fulfillment. You are literally becoming one with the state you desire to express. Let me share another principle that would transform your understanding of vibration and imagination. In Scripture, we read, be still and know that I am God. This stillness is not mere physical quietude. It is a specific vibrational state where your imagination and your desire become one. You see, when you enter this state of stillness, you are tuning yourself to the perfect frequency of your desire fulfilled. This is why meditation and contemplation are so powerful. Not because of any words you might use, but because they allow you to align your vibration with your imagination. Consider the story of Elijah on Mount Horeb. God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. God was in the still, small voice. This still, small voice is not words, it is vibration. It is the feeling tone of your desire fulfilled. Let me share another secret about using vibration instead of words. When you imagine something, your entire being begins to vibrate at the frequency of that state. This is why Scripture tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Notice it says in his heart, not in his mind, not in his words, but in his heart, where feeling and vibration originate. Now let me tell you about a businessman who applied this principle perfectly. He wanted to expand his company, but was struggling with traditional goal setting and affirmations. I told him, stop using words to describe what you want. Instead, feel the vibration of running a successful, expanded business. Feel the satisfaction, the confidence, the certainty of it. Within months, his business had doubled in size. You see, he didn't achieve this through words or planning. He achieved it by maintaining the vibration of his desire fulfilled. This is what Jesus meant when he said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom is not a place or a set of words. It is a vibrational state. Let us explore another aspect of this truth. In the book of Revelation, John speaks of hearing a great voice as of a trumpet. This trumpet is not producing mere sound. It is producing vibration, frequency, energy. This is exactly what your imagination does when it is properly employed. You see, my dear friends, every desire you hold contains within it a specific vibrational frequency. Your job is not to describe this frequency with words, but to feel it, to become one with it, to let it resonate through your entire being. I think of it this way. When you strike a tuning fork, it produces both sound and vibration. The sound is temporary, but the vibration continues long after the sound has faded. Similarly, words are temporary, but vibration, the feeling of your desire fulfilled, continues to resonate and create. Let me share another principle that will revolutionize your understanding of manifestation. When Scripture says, "Let there be light," it is not referring to physical light, but to illuminated consciousness vibrating at the frequency of desire fulfilled. You see, when you truly understand this, you realize that manifestation is not about using the right words or thinking the right thoughts. It's about achieving and maintaining the right vibrational state, the state of your desire fulfilled. Consider the story of Joshua and the walls of Jericho. The walls didn't fall because of the words the people spoke or the horns they blew. They fell because the vibration of victory was maintained until physical reality had no choice but to conform to it. This is exactly how your imagination works. When you maintain the vibration of your desire fulfilled, when you feel the reality of it with your entire being, the circumstances of your life must rearrange themselves to match that vibration. Let me tell you about a teacher who applied this principle perfectly. She desired to impact more lives through her work, but was stuck using traditional goal-setting methods. I told her, stop thinking about how to reach more people. Instead, feel the vibration of already touching countless lives. Feel the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the joy of it. Within months, she had opportunities to teach internationally. You see, she didn't create these opportunities through words or planning. She created them by maintaining the vibration of her desire fulfilled. Now let us discuss something crucial about this process. Most people try to use their imagination as a tool separate from themselves. But I tell you this, your imagination is not a tool. It is your very self. It is God in action within you. And God does not create through words alone, but through vibration, through feeling, through the sensation of reality. Consider the words of Jesus. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Notice he doesn't say they are mere words, they are spirit. They are vibration, they are living energy. This is why when you imagine something, you must do more than see it or think about it. You must feel it, sense it, become one with its vibration. This is what Jesus meant when he said, I and my Father are one. He was expressing his complete unity with the vibration of his desires fulfilled. Let me share another profound truth about vibration and imagination. When you enter into the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are literally rearranging the substance of the universe. This is not metaphysical thinking. This is scientific fact clothed in scriptural language. Think about the story of creation. God didn't just speak the world into existence. He felt it, experienced it, became one with it through imagination and vibration. This is exactly what you must do with your desires. You see, my dear friends, every desire you hold is already fulfilled in what I call the kingdom, the realm of pure vibration and imagination. Your task is not to create it through words or effort, but to tune yourself to its frequency, to feel its reality, to become one with its vibration. Let me tell you about someone who understood this perfectly. A gentleman came to me wanting to transform his relationships. He had been using affirmations and positive self-talk without success. I told him, stop using words to try to change your relationships. Instead, Feel the vibration of having perfect, harmonious relationships. Feel the love, the understanding, the connection. Within weeks, his relationships began to transform. You see, he didn't change them through words or actions. He changed them by maintaining the vibration of his desire fulfilled. Now let us explore another aspect of this truth. In Scripture we read, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This substance is not words or thoughts. It is vibration. It is the feeling tone of your desire fulfilled. You see, when you have true faith, you don't hope for something to happen in the future. You feel its reality now. You vibrate at the frequency of its fulfillment now. This is what Jesus meant when he said, before Abraham was, I am. Let me share another principle that will transform your understanding of manifestation. Most people think they need to change their circumstances to achieve their desires. But I tell you this, you need only change your vibration, your feeling state, and circumstances will change themselves. Consider the story of Daniel in the lion's den. He didn't survive because of words he spoke or prayers he said. He survived because he maintained the vibration of perfect safety and divine protection. This is exactly how your imagination works when properly employed. You see, when you maintain the vibration of your desire fulfilled, you create what I call a bridge of incidents, a series of apparently unrelated events that lead to the manifestation of your desire. This is why Scripture tells us all things work together for good to them that love God. Let me tell you about an artist who applied this principle perfectly. She wanted to showcase her work in major galleries, but was struggling with traditional networking and promotion. I told her, stop trying to make it happen through words and actions. Instead, feel the vibration of being a successful, recognized artist. Feel the satisfaction, the fulfillment, the reality of it. Within months, she had exhibitions in 3 major galleries. You see, she didn't achieve this through effort or planning. She achieved it by maintaining the vibration of her desire fulfilled. Now let us discuss something crucial about this process of manifestation through vibration. Most people think they need to repeat their desire many times or visualize it frequently. But I tell you this, what you need is not repetition, but intensity of feeling, intensity of vibration. Consider the words of Jesus, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Notice he doesn't say believe that you will receive it, he says believe that you have received it. This is about maintaining the vibration of fulfillment now. You see, my dear friends, when you enter into the feeling of your desire fulfilled, when you maintain its vibration, you are literally rearranging the atoms and molecules of your world. This is why Scripture tells us all things are possible to him that believeth. Let me share another profound truth about vibration and imagination. When you imagine something while maintaining its vibrational frequency, you are not creating something new. You are tuning into something that already exists in the realm of pure potential. Think of it this way, every possibility already exists in what quantum physicists call the field of infinite possibilities. Your imagination, operating through vibration, simply tunes you to the frequency of your desired possibility, making it manifest in your physical experience. This is what Jesus meant when he said, seek ye first the kingdom of God. The kingdom is not a place, it is a vibrational state where all possibilities exist simultaneously. When you enter into the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are literally entering this kingdom. Let me tell you about a writer who understood this perfectly. She had been struggling to complete her novel, using various writing techniques and affirmations without success. I told her, stop trying to write the book through effort and words. Instead, feel the vibration of being a successful author. Feel the satisfaction of having completed your novel. Feel the joy of readers being transformed by your work. Within 3 months, she had completed her novel, and secured a publisher. You see, she didn't achieve this through technique or effort. She acted by maintaining the vibration of her desire fulfilled. Now, as we bring this discussion to a close, I want you to understand something fundamental about vibration and imagination. Your imagination is not separate from the creative force of the universe. It is that creative force individualized as you. When you imagine something while maintaining its vibrational frequency, you are literally God in action. This is why Scripture tells us, I am that I am. This is not a statement of identity, it is a statement of creative power through vibration and imagination. Remember this, the universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your vibrational state. Your imagination doesn't create through language. It creates through feeling, through vibration, through the sensation of reality. The choice is yours. You can continue trying to create through words and effort, or you can step into your divine power and create through vibration and imagination. The difference between these approaches is the difference between seeking and finding. So I tell you this, stop trying to use words to create your reality. Start feeling the vibration of your desire fulfilled. Maintain that feeling regardless of appearances. Trust in the law that shapes all things according to your conscious assumptions. For when you master this, when you truly understand how to create through vibration and imagination, you become more than just a creator of circumstances. You become aware of your true nature as the operant power of the universe itself. This is your birthright. This is your true identity. This is who you really are. Thank you, and good night.